Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to A Better World with Adrienne. I'm Adrienne. I'm so excited to be here with you today on this podcast, and I just am endlessly grateful for this community. It's my favorite thing to sit down and channel episodes and connect with all of your hearts and spirits. Like outside of my paying paid client experiences, like this is I just love channeling and sharing here. So thank you for being here. Um, Life is blowing my mind lately, and I just feel so grateful to Spirit, and I feel so grateful to all the humans that I'm weaving with and the magic that's being made, and just, yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive. So this episode is dropping on January 29th, which is the day that the Holy Habits Hive Mind is starting. So if you receive this at this day, on this day, and you've been interested in this space, go apply. I can't guarantee there will be spaces available. I can't guarantee that you can get into the room. However, if there are still spaces and you apply and you're accepted, like you could be rolling with us the next 6 months, mastering our habits and our discipline, all with the B as our spirit guide, all through the lens of divinity. We're going to have the time of our life the next 6 months. So that's the first thing if you're receiving this on the 29th or around the end of January 2025. So this episode is the link to that is in the show notes. Run, don't walk, pause the episode. If this is you, go do that right now. This episode, I'm really, really excited to share. I've been going deep into Kabbalah. I have never experienced Kabbalah before, and I got guided to it like a month, 6 weeks ago, and I have gone into a serious, crazy deep dive, which has resulted in the craziest quantum leap of my life so far. Like, miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle. Like, spirit is blowing my mind right now. So, I wanted to share some of this magic with you. Today's episode is going to be deep diving into all of that, and it's 3 steps to choosing a new timeline. So, through the lens of a better world and new earth, which is what we're all in the game of creating here, we must be choosing a new timeline all the time. Like the way we work with time is different. We can bend time, we can dilate time, we can contract time, right? So, we're going to be getting into all of this in this episode, and I'm really, really excited about it. So, if you are interested in learning how to choose a different timeline, no matter what circumstances going on in your present reality right here, right now, then keep listening to this episode. Let us call upon the altar. The altar is how we say thank you in advance to spirit. And the reason that the world is the way it is right now, the reason why we even have a podcast called A Better World is because we could stand to make improvements, right? And one of the things we got away from is we stopped making offerings. We stopped saying thank you. We stopped living lives of ceremony. So, the altar is thank you in advance to spirit. The altar is thank you to spirit. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you for the opportunity to channel. And may this be for the highest timeline and good of all. So, on the altar today, I have just the most beautiful bouquet of flowers. I finally found a flower shop I'm obsessed with where I'm living right now. So for you on YouTube, you can see this. There are 4 roses. They are all just opening up and blooming with the most amazing scents. And so we have a white rose for purification, and that also represents my shamanism. My shaman name is White Star. So white, the angelic frequencies, and then star, the connection to the stars. So We have a white rose. We have a yellow rose for power for the solar plexus. We have an orange rose for the sacral, for creativity, the inner child, the sexual energy. And we have a fuchsia fusion. It's like peach. It's between yellow and orange, and it has pink edges, and it's so beautiful, and it's opening up really, really big. And we also have the lily and a white lily, and we have one that's bloomed and two that are closed and like about to bloom. And the lilies, they show up really, really strong in, they show up incredibly strong in the tarot. So if you're pulling tarot cards, like, and you actually look, and you're, if you are doing like an original, like Rider's Waite deck of the tarot, and you're looking at the original imagery, there are tons of flowers in the images. And something that I like to do with tarot and with any oracle card is like, sometimes I erase my brain on purpose, and I'm like, if I just look at the picture, what's the picture trying to tell me? And the flowers always have a message. You know, white is purification, new beginnings. It's a brand new. And I'm really getting a lot of masculine energy from the lily as well, because like roses are very, very feminine. Like, you need to go deep into the petals of a rose to get to where the nectar is, to where you can pollinate, right? And a lily is just like the organs on humans, right? Like the male organs are outward facing, right? And so when you look at a lily, you can see the male and female parts, right? And the male is like standing up tall and erect and like, hey, here I am. I'm ready to like spread my seed. And so it just, what is really bringing through for me right now is like the purity of the divine masculine and what that really means. And I facilitated an in-person breath work the other day, and I had a client share, um, she was like feeling hands on her face during the journey, like some kind of hands from the other side. And I got this message through my intuition of like, and I asked it, do you want to hear what I got through my channel? And I said that those are the hands of the Father. I said, Father Sky, Father God, not the patriarchy father that hurts us. And I think this is some of our deepest work, is to really reconcile that relationship with the true father, the divine masculine. And so I'm really feeling that from the lily for us today. I have my yellow golden Lumerian citrine crystal representing abundance, representing prosperity. I have a white unscented beeswax candle burning, purifying our space and bringing in the energy of the bees. The bees have been so potent for just this whole hive mind I'm stewarding. It's like the bees took over my life, and I love it. And I also have a bright pink rose standing by itself, and I think I've said this on the podcast before, but I just love a rose that stands on its own, because it's like, it's kind of like a diamond, right? It's rare. It's not for everyone. It's beautiful and it's earned, and we're just bringing in that love and that rare diamond essence of like, every single one of us is a rare, one of a kind soul here to create with spirit. So that is on the altar today. Hmm. And the last piece of the altar is our breath, our life force energy. So, no matter what you're doing, where you are, if you're walking, sitting, driving, dancing, twirling, be here now. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Feel yourself connect to the human family. Inhale through the nose. Feel your crown chakra open with the divine white light on the top of your head. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Holding at the top, bringing an intention to this podcast. Why did you press play? Instead of focusing on what you can get from this podcast, what can you give? What are you bringing to the table? Exhale out the mouth. If you had your eyes fluttered shut, you can flutter them open. And welcome to the space. The portal is officially open. I'm like chomping at the bit to share this information. Literally Kabbalah changing my life. So I first heard about Kabbalah. Kabbalah has Kabbalah is like the scientific combination of all of the mystical traditions. You can study and research it on your own. I will link the course that I have been going into. I'm, I mean, when I find something that works for me, I'm all in. I'm like, I'm getting a mentor, I'm getting a coach, I'm doing the course, I'm doing the deep dive. And this is what I've been doing. Like, I have probably like five podcasts that I usually listen to regularly. One is the Tim Ferriss show, which I've been listening to, oh my God, religiously for like 10 years. And then I also listen to Lori Harder's Earn Your Happy, and of course my astrology teacher and mentor, Aisha Durrani, her the Oath Oracle podcast, I think it's called. She's changed the name of it a couple times. However, I'm behind on all of my regular podcasts because literally all I've been doing is listening to Kabbalah. Like I've done the first course two times through already. And it's a 10 module like I'm just obsessed, and the thing is I'm taking it and I'm implementing it and it's working. It's working magic and miracles in my life. So, yes, I'm very, very excited about all of this. Um, I will link where I'm learning from. His name is David Guillaume, and I first heard about him actually from through Lori Harder, who I listened to her podcast. Um, and there was just something about it. You just know when you're being guided to something. And I was like, holy cannoli. Like this combined with my breath work and my astrology, like my whole life is like, whoa, quantum leaping like mad right now. And it's so exciting. So, Kabbalah. Now, I'm not a Kabbalah teacher, but what I am going to do is I'm going to share with you just this three-step formula that I've learned through my study of Kabbalah to choose a new timeline. Now, like I I definitely am like paraphrasing. I'm not going through all the steps. I'm also not like ripping off their teachings. What I'm sharing is like this is a tool that helps me choose a new timeline, and it's a combination of my whole life of mastery and practice and manifestation and the nervous system and all of these things. But really what we're talking about is like at any given moment of any day, you have the opportunity to choose a new timeline. What's a new timeline? There are multiple timelines going on in time and space at the same time. So there's the timeline where you're living the life you're living right now. And then all of your desires are in another timeline, right? That's happening right along with you. Like I really view it as like parallel timelines or parallel destinies. And you always have the opportunity to jump to a different timeline. You can choose a new timeline. And so this is really, really powerful when something's happening in your life. There's a circumstance in your life that's challenging, and you're like, no, I choose a new timeline, right? We cannot, like, there's a lot we cannot change in our lives. And of course, Creator, Spirit, God Source, the universe, the stars knows best. And at the very same time, like we have a lot of power in our mind to stay connected to the light. When we stay connected to the light, we can choose a new timeline. When we click into darkness, when we click into doubt, when we click into fear, when we click into scarcity, that's when we can spiral down and go into a whole different timeline um, that is not as good, right? Where there's pain, where there's suffering, where there's delay. So that's what this episode is. I just felt so inspired because it's just like putting such a different lens on it. And Kabbalah actually has roots in the Bible, in Jewish tradition. There's astrology that's part of it. It's like, and it's so matter of fact. It's like teaching the laws of the universe from a totally different lens that's like integrating all these different things. So this is a three-step process to just choose a new timeline. Like, okay, let's say there's something in your life that is it's not going the way you want, or you're just like, I'm leveling up. I'm choosing a new movie. Like, remember that all of this is a simulation. All of it's a game. And we didn't come here to get played. We came here to play the game. And that's the biggest shift you will make as a new earth steward. You will stop living like you're getting played and you will start playing the game on your terms with spirit as your BFF, ride or die, like creation partner, right? And what happens in a game? Every time you level up, you get new challenges, right? So if there's like a challenge in your game, it's also like a test. There's been a lot of tests going on in the world. And what are the tests really doing? And this is actually, I didn't realize this when I launched the Holy Habits Hive Mind, but I'm realizing it now, is it's always this choice point between am I gonna choose instant gratification where I break my integrity just to get a quick hit, or am I going to choose the long game with integrity and like earning the result, right? That's the choice point. It's the choice point in everything. The way you manage your mind, what food you put in your body, the people you're around, every single choice you make. And guess what the cool part about life is? Every single moment's a brand new moment to begin again. Doesn't that just rock? I just love that for us. You are never, ever obligated to be who you were even 5 minutes ago. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. So, three steps to choose a new timeline. You can always click into a different timeline. Even if, okay, let's say the past like week you've been spiraling down, right? Or there's like some kind of challenging circumstance in your life. You can decide right here, right now to choose a new timeline. Okay. And this goes for you in your life, but also in the collective. Like, we can choose a new time. If enough of us choose a new timeline individually, we can choose a new timeline for the whole collective, which that's what New Earth is, right? So let's just get into it. The three steps. So the first one is something happened, like, this is all in the context of like, okay, there's something in your life that you want to be different. And you say, this is definitely, I learned this from David Guillaume, this phrase. Pause, what a pleasure. And the whole point of it is realizing that every single thing in your life you actually called in for you to experience that free will choice point to choose the light rather than the dark. So no matter what, it's like unconditional choosing of the light, unconditional choosing of love, of power, of joy, of truth, of peace. So it's like pause, and you go from being in a reactive state to being in a powerful state. So you're like, okay, I'm going to choose a different timeline. So I heard the story of one of my manifestation teachers lately, like her dog got super, super sick. And she didn't use it exactly like this, but she started spiraling down about like, oh my God, my dog's gonna die, blah, 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 blah. And then she was like, wait, pause. I can choose a new movie. And what she did ended up, her dog ended up surviving and is like thriving now. So first thing is pause and you say thank you. Pause, what a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for this activation. Thank you for this free will choice point. I actually called this in to up level. So when you can view every single challenge in your life, every single like hard thing, it's just coming in to bring up your negativity so you can cleanse yourself of it and choose the light. That's what it is. So you're like, thank you. So first you say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this current timeline, this current reality. Like you don't even need to fully understand it. You don't need to be happy about it to be like, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is actually amazing. This is actually so phenomenal and so elegant because I called this in so precisely for myself to evolve. Okay, that's the first step. Second step is you're going to choose differently. You're going to choose a different outcome. You're going to choose a different timeline. And this is where like I get a little bit they didn't say this in Kabbalah, but this is just me combining everything I know and what's worked for me is then you just decide how it's going to go in your mind. And you just relentlessly choose that and you make a vision. You make a vision of what it looks like for it to be the way you want. So, for example, something that I did was like when I moved from Maui to Michigan and I didn't really understand why, like I just decided in my brain, I was like, I didn't know Kabbalah at that point, but I did decide in my brain, I was like, Spirit's positioning me for the greatest miracles of my life. And I'll tell you right now, I was right about that and I manifested that and I chose that with spirit. That's only happening because I relentlessly chose with my free will this new choosing differently. So instead of being reactive, instead of like spiraling down, instead of like going into the negativity, you decide like this is for the highest good and I'm going to come from a giving place. I'm going to come from a place of love. I'm going to come from a place that spirit has my back. And I really invite you to just choose an image, choose a vision of yourself. So I just chose a vision of myself, like standing in all, of course, all white, because that's my signature color. Um, on a cliff in Greece and I was like, I'm just being positioned for my greatest new earth leadership and my life where I travel around the globe and sharing my gifts and just like teaching and loving and connecting. And in this vision, I have it's almost like Cleopatra, that like jeweled crown that hangs over her third eye. I have that in the vision and I'm by the ocean and I just held that vision. I was like, this is the timeline we're choosing. Because, the other timeline that my brain was like, my life's over. Like, magic isn't real. Like, it was honestly, it was so extreme. And I shared before on the podcast how I struggled with depression in that time. Um, Breath work, holy habits, and literally holding this vision was so powerful. So I just chose differently. And you might need to make this choice more than once, but like what it actually is you just choose it once and then you relentlessly protect it. You relentlessly follow through on it, right? It's not like you're making a new choice every day to choose that timeline. You're like, "Hey, this is the timeline I chose and I relentlessly protect it. I relentlessly follow through. Like this is what we're doing." So, and then you can also be open to, you can have a vision and a timeline and be open to spirit blowing your mind in miracles, right? Like sometimes people get so rigid about like, this is the way it's supposed to be and look. However, spirit knows way more than us. And there are things that you don't even know you desire that spirit has planned for you, has slated for you. All you've got to do is choose the timeline of the light. And so make a vision in your brain. Like You could honestly, you could just do something so simple as like maybe you're someone who just like really, really loves being in a forest. Okay. You could imagine yourself barefoot in the forest, smiling. Like, I'm choosing that timeline. I'm choosing the timeline of peace. I'm choosing the timeline of love. I'm choosing the timeline of joy. I'm choosing the timeline of connection to Mother Nature, right? And you just stay rooted in that. You just stay rooted in that. So you're going to pause. You're going to say thank you. Once you notice you're going toward a timeline you don't desire. By the way, pain is always, when you alchemize it, it's always a setup. It's always a redirection to something better if you are tapped into spirit and you just keep going and you keep healing and you keep choosing the light. It always is. And you know what they say, it's darkest before the dawn. But you can always choose a new timeline every single day, no matter what. So you're gonna, first thing is like pause. What a pleasure. Thank you so much. I called this in. This is not happening to me. This is happening through me. Like I actually chose this. My soul chose this for me to evolve through this moment. And then you just choose differently. You're like my teacher. Okay, my dog is like spiraling out in the hospital right now. I'm choosing a different timeline. I'm choosing a different timeline. I'm choosing the timeline where she lives. And she chose just like the vision of like her dog running down the hallway, like so happy. And she said, I just kept visualizing that, visualizing that, visualizing that. And that's what, I did with my vision in Greece that I'm still doing. I also have another vision where I'm like about to board a private plane, of course, in all white, but this time in travel all white. So it's this Z Supply um all white like jogger set with my fresh as fuck custom Nikes. By the way, I have not worn any of my nice Nikes since I've been in Michigan because there's just so much dirt everywhere. I'm like, they're gonna get so dirty. Um, but yeah, just holding that vision and tapping into it daily, daily. And then the last thing is to choose a new timeline. You've got to let the 3D catch up, right? Like you're playing in the 5D. All of this is a 5D inner spiritual work. Like it's not an outer, like physical process, right? And so, what I want you to know is that your external physical reality is a result. It's a result of your nervous system, all of your previous thoughts, all of your previous emotions, and all of your previous choices. So your external does reflect your internal, however, there's a delay in the 3D, right? So everybody that has something amazing in life, they held the vision before it was real in front of them. Like it's not an effect. It's not like, oh, this thing happened in my external, so then my internal shifted. It's like, no, I am the cause. Something that I always say to my clients, and I said it a lot when I was teaching the calendar command in 3D moves, um, is my days don't happen to me, I happen to my days. And so this is you happening to life. You're like, I'm in command, right? I can choose, I have free will. Our free will is so powerful. So the third thing is you're going to choose certainty beyond logic. You're going to choose certainty beyond logic. And as soon as I said that, the time shifted to 222. What's 222? It's a new relationship. So this could be a new relationship with yourself, a new relationship with time. We can definitely bend time. The other day, I went on a drive that usually takes 30 minutes and I got there in 15 minutes. I have no idea how except magic. And the whole time, of course, my head was in the clouds and I was like dreaming about all the amazing things and just like getting all these downloads from spirit. And I always open my sunroof to get downloads from spirit, even if it's winter and cold, because I just want my crown open to the sky. But you're going to choose certainty beyond logic. What does that mean? It means be delulu. Okay? It means holding the vision. When we talk about it, it's not logical. Okay? Logic is like 1 plus 1 equals 2. It's not logic, it's magic. And when you have certainty and the power of spirit and the power of creator and the power of the cosmos, and you have certainty in yourself, because your one job is to be the grounding place for miracles, right? And so you're like, okay, I'm making maximum effort here. I'm doing everything I know how to do. I'm loving myself. I'm trusting the process. I'm choosing the light. No matter what the external circumstance, I choose certainty over logic. If I use logic and I look at the world, I'm going to be depressed every day. If I use logic and I look at my current circumstance, there's no way I'm ever going to make a dream. So when we talk about making a vision or manifesting a dream, being an innovator, inventing something, you're literally making something that didn't exist before. So inventors don't have logic, they have visions. A vision is something that you have and then you bring to form, right? So it's flipping the whole script. You know what I'm saying? Most of the world is like, show me the proof, show me the evidence, show me the numbers, and then I'll believe. Show me this, and then I'll believe. And it's like, no, like you're tapping into the certainty of creator. You're tapping into the certainty of your heart. You're tapping into the certainty of you and this, inner game. But to choose a new timeline, you've got to stay in that certainty. You're like, somebody said to me literally the other day, I realized we were talking and they said, well, I'm 44. And I was like, oh, sweet, I'm 33. I was like, angel numbers, amazing. And And she's like, yeah, I guess it's supposed to be a special year. I don't really know what's going to happen that would be special. And I just said, I was like, oh, obviously something will happen. And she's like, wow, you have a lot of certainty. And it was just so interesting because I do have a lot of certainty. It's certainty in creator, it's certainty in spirit, it's certainty in magic. When you I've always had this since I was a little girl. Of course, I forgot for a long time through my story and everything that you know, I called in this lifetime at a pretty young age to transmute so I could become the person to steward the mission that I'm supposed to steward. Um, it's that certainty though. And then you get to a point where you've seen way too much magic in your life to not believe. And you can start, if you have trouble holding certainty beyond logic, I want you to make a list of miracles. Every time spirits come through for you when you were like, wow, I don't even know, like something that's coming through right now as an example is I remember during COVID, I just filed for unemployment and I was just like so sad and I was negotiating my rent at the time because I wasn't able to pay my old rent. It was really, really hard. And I was prepared because I was unwilling to give up my business. I was unwilling to quit my dream. And I said, this was that certainty. I was like, I'm choosing the timeline where I keep my business. I'm choosing the timeline where I'm full time going all in on my dreams. And if that means I've got to do something hard for a while, then so be it. Like, I do not care. And it was that certainty beyond logic. And I remember negotiating my rent and he wouldn't budge and I said, "Okay, cool. I'm moving out." And I had arranged for something else and I totally dropped all attachment to that. I was like I just stuck to my guns. It was that certainty beyond logic. It was like, "Okay, I just decide that no matter what, I'm keeping my business and no matter what, I am only going to be paying this amount of rent." And then guess what happened? He reached out to me like 24 hours later and was like, you know what? You've been a really good tenant for a really long time. I can't just give you lower rent. Like, you're going to need to pay it back later. However, like, if you need to do this amount for 6 months as you get your feet underneath you, then you can. And I got to stay in my apartment. It was like some of the most biggest magic. And yeah, just I've had so many moments like that, but it was because I stayed tapped into that certainty beyond logic. You know, my logical mind would have been like, I'm a failure, like I'm losing my apartment. I'm going to like get a roommate when I haven't had a roommate in years, and it's in the middle of COVID and I haven't, seen, like, I was living alone during COVID, which was I mean, honestly, I loved it in a lot of ways. It also was really hard because I was like, hey, can a girl get a hug, however, I stayed tapped into that certainty beyond logic. So it's like not making the external current circumstance define your reality. So this whole thing is like, okay, 3 steps to choose a new timeline. First, everything in your life, like if you're choosing a new timeline, that's because there's something in your current movie, in your current reality that you want to shift, right? So as you're listening to this, what do you want to shift right here, right now? What's something that you want to shift? Okay, pause. Instead of reacting, instead of being upset about it, instead of like having negativity about it, you're going to say thank you to it and be like, my soul called this in for me to grow. Wow, this is so amazing. This is a chance for me to level up. This is a chance for me to use my free will. Okay. You pause. You say, thank you. What a pleasure. I called this in. I'm so excited to grow. And you can even just be like silly about it. You're like, wow, I'm like really, really being activated right now. I must have a lot of growth coming. Like, because it's not easy, right? It's not easy. But what you're doing is interrupting. If you have a bullet train going on one timeline that's going somewhere you don't want to go, just interrupt that shit. Be like, new timeline, let's go. Like, even as you're listening to this podcast, the first thing that comes to you, I want you to choose a new timeline using this mini framework. And then you're going to choose differently. You say, okay, what would creator do? What would love do? Okay, what's the timeline that I'm choosing? And then choose an image in your mind and make it so vibrant and make it a color and know that it's that or something better. Like, sometimes we grip so hard onto things because we think that's what we're supposed to get when we're supposed to be getting, like, people will grip onto a certain amount of money, right? And then you realize like that's like one fraction of what spirit wanted to give you when you let go, and then these huge gushes come in and you're like, wow, right? So choose the new timeline, pause, choose differently, choose a vision, a picture in your mind, and then certainty beyond logic. And something that even I've been saying to myself is like, by the way, if there are people in your life around you that don't function this way, I really encourage you to protect this inner game because they're going to come in there with their all of their negativity. And if you're like brand new, I call it Bambi legs. It's like Bambi when Bambi's born or Bambi's walking out on the ice. It's like face planting, falling down, just like figuring out how to skate, right? If you're figuring out how to skate, you're not going to bring some big bully out there that's going to push you down, right? So protect your mind, protect your brain, protect your heart, protect your spirit. Don't share this with just anybody because they're going to use their negative energy and then you're going to start doubting it, being like, "Oh, that's too much. Oh, I like, oh, I should just be realistic." No, 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 no. That's all a lie. That's bullshit. That's called dark forces, okay? And then certainty beyond logic. Certainty beyond logic. Like I've even been saying to myself lately, I'm like, I have so much certainty in creator. I choose certainty of creator. I choose certainty of creator. I choose certainty of love. Like I am so confident that this is working out for the most high. And it could be even something like you're just so certain that you're choosing this timeline. You're choosing the highest destiny timeline, okay? Beyond logic. And if you can maintain this, this is when you will choose a new timeline. So there's so much more I could say, but that is this episode. I love this. This was so fun and joyful. Please let me know what happened for you. If you've never written a review of the podcast, I invite you to write a review and let me know how this experience, how this place supports you, just your biggest downloads. It takes 30 seconds and it's an amazing way for you to just share the love and support if you are receiving goodness from this space. You can always message me on Instagram. Let me know what came up for you in this episode, how it's working for you. Tag me in your Instagram stories, shoot me an email, just like all the things. And if you want to go deeper into this work with me, of course, if you're receiving this at the end of January 2025, apply for the Holy Habits Hive Mind. There could be a space available. So just go check it out in the show notes. If you are interested in that, it's a 6 month, just total life shift in habits for your divinity. It's a hive mind of powerful queens. Um, Other things I've got going on, I have my 2025 New Earth Astrology Guide. So that's when you get a monthly reading from me. You get other astrology transmissions. I'm going to be adding to that like new stuff this last week of January just because there's literally so much going on in the stars that like I've been really sitting with for myself like I think astrologers everywhere could agree with this like reminding me that I can only pour from a full cup because there's so much going on in the astrology. It's really easy to feel like a weather reporter right now. And it's like, I've got to sit and get my own star codes and make sense of things. And from there and there alone, I can channel. So that you can literally get it for as low as $65, which is like amazing. This is where I'm going to be sharing all of my astrology insights for 2025, and it includes oath breathwork when you get it. So you get instant access to the breathwork journey, you get the January readings, and of course, the February reading is going to be dropping on either the 31st of January or February 1st. And if you are listening and you're like, I just want to go deep with you one on one, reach out to me about one-on-one mentorship. I have a few, just a few. And when I say few, I have two spaces for new one-on-one clients. This is for you if you want to go all the way to the top, daily coaching, mentorship, all the things. So, yeah, the link to everything is in the show notes. I love you so much. I believe in you. I believe in a better world. And let's choose a new timeline. I want you to choose a new timeline for yourself today. Why? Because you can, because you're capable. And your potential demands it. Your magic demands it. Actually, I dare you. I triple dog dare you to choose a new timeline today and just use this framework. First step, pause. Thank you. Second, choose differently. Create a picture vision. Three, certainty beyond logic. Certainty beyond logic. Certainty beyond logic. And then watch it all shift. And then tell me about the miracles. Go out there, be the real you, be the light, be the change. Go make a stranger smile because it charges the whole field. You literally have no idea what people are going through. You have no idea what people are going through. Um, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. I love you so much. And I will see you next time on A Better World with Adrienne.